Good evening, Western Washington. Matthew Fab here with Western Washington weather. This is your Tuesday night update for the severe thunderstorm threat coming up on the day Wednesday here. Starting with the satellite imagery, we can take a look here. You see our storm spinning offshore. You see this trough, this negatively tilted trough here. This is what's going to start firing those thunderstorms up as we go through the day Wednesday into the evening. So you can see it is starting to move closer to the Oregon coast. That is what we're expecting here with this thunderstorm threat. Taking a look at the radar, you can see it is all calm across the area tonight. If we take a look at high temperatures today, we had a really nice day across Western Washington. You can see 73 degrees, new record high there at SeaTac, 75 across parts of Seattle, even up into the mid-60s in Bellingham. You can see the coast in the 60s. If we head further south here, you can see 73 in Tacoma, 70 in Olympia, and up to 81 degrees there at Portland International Airport. So really nice day across the region, even 70 out toward Astoria, Oregon there. So very nice and warm across Western Washington and Western Oregon today, and that will continue as we go into Wednesday with these thunderstorms. Taking a look at the latest run of the European model, you can see it still is going for those thunderstorms starting to increase as we go into Wednesday afternoon, and especially as we go into Wednesday evening, and then more rain as we go into the day Thursday and into Friday as well. We'll take a look at that in the coming days here. Taking a look at the upper air dynamics here, you can see the trough starting to move toward the coast as we go into the afternoon, creating that forcing that brings those thunderstorms up into Western Washington and parts of Western Oregon as well. And then as this trough moves closer, it starts to bring a more typical system with rain and mountain snow into the area as we go through into Friday. So taking a look at high temperatures again on Wednesday, you can see we're looking at highs in the mid-70s across Western Washington. We're looking into the upper 60s for areas north of Everett. In areas from Olympia southward toward Portland in the mid-70s, maybe upper 70s to near 80 again around Portland and Vancouver. Adding more fuel to the fire for these thunderstorms are these warm temperatures, mid-70s along the Cascade foothills of Washington as well. Taking a look here at the Storm Prediction Center now, day one outlook as it is now Wednesday in the east, so this is when this is issued. This is now valid for Wednesday. You can see they kept the slight risk up as we talked about in this morning's video. You can see that slight risk for severe thunderstorms. The highest risk ever issued west of the Cascades extends from Everett all the way down to Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, Kelso, Chehalis, all the way toward Portland, and then down toward Eugene, Oregon there. Again, the highest risk ever issued west of the Cascades, and at least the highest for Seattle in the last 13 years. So a pretty significant event coming up here. You can see we kept this significant hail parameter here. This hatched area has a chance of 2+ inch diameter hail, and that can be really damaging. We'll take a look at that more tomorrow. But if you're in this area, be prepared for the potential for very brief hail up to 2 inches in diameter. And this yellow area has a chance for hail up to 1 inch in diameter. The highest chance of that in this yellow area. This brown shaded area does have a chance for that hail up to 1 inch in diameter as well. This is not something we even really know around this area. This is not something that happens very often at all. This has really never been something that's been warned across parts of Western Washington and Oregon. So it's really something we do need to be prepared for. Taking a look at the tornado outlook here, you can see from Everett down toward Eugene, especially along the Cascade foothills of Western Washington and Western Oregon, including Portland, Tacoma, and Seattle there is a 2% tornado threat. But again, this is a 2% of any tornado. 2% chance of any tornado within a given area here. So extremely low chance, but it's not a non-zero chance. The best chance for this would be along the foothills there, where you can get a little bit more spin going with some of these storms. So again, if there is a tornado, there'll be like 1 or 2 maybe across this whole area. It will be brief, and it will likely not be all that strong, but it could happen, especially in the foothills of the mountains. But again, this is not going to be like a widespread tornado threat or anything like that. That is out of the question. That's not happening across the area. We're not going to see massive tornadoes going through cities or anything like that. Anyone who's saying that on social media should not be saying that, because that is not something that will be occurring. And then we can take a look at the wind outlook here. And that is essentially showing the same thing. You got that risk of damaging winds. That is criteria up to 58 miles per hour across most of Western Washington and Oregon and parts of Eastern Washington as well. Taking a look at the European model, timing out these thunderstorms, you can see a chance of a couple storms along the Olympic Peninsula, maybe parts of Snohomish County there around 11 to 12 there tomorrow on Wednesday. You can see stronger storm potentially over the San Juans around noontime, getting some developing across parts of the Cascades as we go to 1 to 2 p.m. Then we start to get storms developing over southwest Washington. You can see as we get toward 3 p.m. we have these storms moving up the I-5 corridor, and then the main stuff starts to develop across Portland as we go to 4 to 5 p.m. You can see this cluster of storms moving north into western Washington. Then as we go towards 6 to 7 p.m. you can see 6 p.m. it reaches Olympia, 7 p.m. it moves through Seattle and some of the east side, 8 p.m. it continues moving up toward Everett, up towards parts of northern Snohomish County, Island County even, then weakens as we get toward 9 p.m. before it starts to move up toward Bellingham, and then weakens completely as it moves into British Columbia. Taking a look at some of the ingredients we have for storms here, you can see the CAPE index. This is the amount of instability in the atmosphere. The higher these values, the higher the chances for thunderstorms. Typically, a high value in western Washington would be around 500 or so, but you can see we're looking at values near 3,000. So this is just extraordinary amounts of instability across the area. And then you can see the supercell composite. This basically shows where it's possible for a supercell thunderstorm to form. That's a rotating thunderstorm with the wall cloud, similar to some of the things you see along the Great Plains. But it won't be as strong here, but we do have the potential for some supercells to form across western Washington, and the best chance of that will be along the I-5 corridor there from Portland up toward Olympia, and then along parts of the foothills up toward Bellevue and Enumclaw and parts of Pierce County as well. So this is a pretty high supercell composite index for the Pacific Northwest. This is not something you see very often at all. And then taking a look at simulated satellite imagery. This is the NAM model. You can see that brief time of morning convection moving through. Doesn't really do much. We get a few areas of clouds moving through the area, and then we remain mostly clear as we go into 4 p.m. You see these thunderstorms developing across Oregon, pushing north into western Washington as we go to 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. before they start to push out of the area, and we just get some residual showers behind them. So again, that timing for western Washington is really going to be between 5 to 7 to 8 p.m. there, and then that starts to push north toward Bellingham by the time we get to 9 to 10 p.m. and weakens as it moves up toward Vancouver, BC. 24-hour precipitation totals under some of these heavier areas of thunderstorms. You could be looking at over an inch of rain that will fall within a couple of hours. So street flooding is likely, maybe some small stream flooding as well. It could bring some snow melt, and any areas that have burn scars in the Cascades and even a couple areas in the Olympics and maybe the Coast Range could have debris flows and flash flooding with these thunderstorms moving through. So heads up if you are anywhere near a burn scar. If that is expected, expect to see a flash flood warning issued in that region if there's flooding expected on a burn scar. And then taking a look here, we have the NAM model on the left and the high-resolution rapid refresh model on the right. We're looking at simulated radar. As we go into, this would be this is noon. As we go to 1 p.m., you can see we start to get some stuff forming over Oregon. As we get toward 2 p.m. there, by 3 p.m., these storms are starting to move north toward Portland. You can see as we get to 4 to 5 p.m., they're moving, rapidly strengthening toward Portland, then moving up into southwest Washington. NAM has it a little bit more progressive than the high-resolution rapid refresh here. By the time we get here to 6 p.m., you can see the NAM has these storms moving into Tacoma. The HRR only has them moving up to Olympia, but they are pretty close in timing by the time we get to 6 p.m. 7 p.m., you can see they move through Seattle up toward Everett. 8 p.m., this line of storms moves up toward Bellingham, and the high-resolution rapid refresh has a much stronger line of storms moving up through Bellingham and up into southwest British Columbia versus the NAM here, which has it weakening a bit, but still does show it moving through Vancouver Metro there. So, and then we have some residual showers behind it. So, generally, we're in pretty good agreement on timing, likely looking between 5 to 9 p.m. for the Puget Sound metro areas, and then Portland looking more at 3 to 5 p.m. So then also just wanted to point this out as well. NAM model on the left, high-resolution rapid refresh on the right. We could have winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour in some of the strongest storms. The NAM model isn't really showing that all that much, showing gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. The high-resolution rapid refresh, though, does show some areas of winds gusting over 50 to 60 miles per hour very briefly, especially across parts of King, Snohomish, and northern Kitsap counties, even parts of eastern Jefferson County there, near Quilcene and the Hood Canal Bridge. But again, this could really happen anywhere in any of these storms. You could have brief outflow winds gusting over 50 miles per hour towards 60 plus miles per hour. I doubt we'd see it more than 70 miles an hour, and if so, it would be very, very brief. These winds will be brief anyway, only lasting for a few minutes on the outflow from these storms, and then as the storms themselves move through. And of course, there will be a lot of lightning with these storms as well, so be very careful. And please don't be outside during the storms. If you have to be in your car, that is much safer than being outside. So just heads up for that. As always here, be sure to subscribe, Western Washington Weather. I will likely do a live stream at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday. We'll maybe stream till about 10 o'clock or so, and I will be storm chasing in the afternoon into the evening hours as well. So I'll be sure to post some updates on my social media as I'm out there in the field. You can see those updates on Blue Sky, on Twitter, and on the Western Washington Weather Facebook group. And just a shout out about the Facebook group here. It's a great place for you to go and post your observations as the storms are going through. You can say on the group what you're seeing in your area. We've had a lot of new folks join the group over the last 24 hours. It'd be great to see that continue. The links to Blue Sky, Facebook, and Twitter are in the description of this video, so be sure to check those out. Stay tuned, and I will likely do a live stream for you guys at 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, and I'll talk to you then.